Welcome back, anime enthusiasts. It's time to dive into another captivating adventure on our channel, VR Caps. Today, we have a special treat for all you fans of the supernatural and the mysterious. We're going to recap an unforgettable anime series that will leave you questioning reality itself. I'm your host, and together, we're about to embark on a journey through the mind-bending world of C3, Cube Cursed Curious.
Yachai is our main protagonist. He often receives strange goods from his father, who is abroad. Today, the shipper delivered a very strange box. Yachai curiously touches it, but the box glows, startling him a bit. Feeling unusual, Yachai decides to leave it behind in the warehouse. That night, when Yachai is sleeping, he hears a noise coming from the kitchen. He goes down to check and sees a loli wearing nothing, her mouth still gnawing on rice cakes. When she sees Yachai, she calls him pervert and throws the cake at him. Yachai then brings her rice cakes and tea. Rice cakes must be eaten with hot tea to be reasonable. Yachai doesn't expect the box to turn into a girl like this. Her name is Fear. Yachai's father said that if she turned into a box, it would be easier for her to get here, so she did. She introduces herself as a cursed tool, a tool powered by the negative emotions in humans, such as hate, envy, and the urge to kill. They say tools that have been cursed too much by humans begin to gain human characteristics. The proof is her existence. She is cursed and given consciousness. Because she was cursed, it in turn activates another curse, one that makes her owner go mad. Yachai's father told her that, if she came here, she could undo the curse without harming anyone. She believed him. That's why she is here. Yachai was not surprised and said that this area is filled with orderly energy, and it all gathers in this house. Yachai introduced himself very specifically, so he is immune to curses. He thinks that curses are manifesting through negative thoughts. That means they can be neutralized by exposure to positive thoughts. He guesses the subtle meaning is helping others. Suddenly, Konoha comes to have breakfast with him. Before she can learn about Fear's identity, she is provoked by Fear about her breasts. Konoha cooked a meat and potato stew for Yachai. Fear continues to mock Konoha's breast growth from eating this dish. Yachai asks them to calm down and introduces them to each other. Konoha is his childhood friend, and Fear is another guest that his dad sent over. For the time being, Fear will live at his house, which Konoha disagrees with. But now there is no other way. Yachai says he will change his uniform. Konoha assumes that she attends the same school as Yachai, which means Fear will have to stay home alone whenever Yachai goes to school. Yachai gives Fear a Rubik and turns on the TV for her to kill time. Although Yachai feels nervous about leaving her alone, seeing that she is so absorbed in watching TV, he thinks she will be fine. Her favorite Fear show ended, and she has nothing left to watch, so she starts shaking the TV. At this time, the TV broadcasts a scene of the sea when a storm is about to come. Fear turns to Yachai and asks if this is the sea, but he has already gone to school. The sea on the television is much colder than Fear thought, and it is so dark. She starts to get bored when she has to stay at home. She changes and walks around the neighborhood. She goes into a market and meets people here. They are very friendly and think Fear is lost. They surround her and talk happily as if they are family. When they know Fear is at Yachai's house, they are relieved. Fear doesn't want people to treat her so well, so she leaves. But she still turns around to thank them. Fear returns home, not knowing what to do, and decides to clean the house for Yachai. But what the girl is doing is just messing up the house. She throws the television into the cupboard. All washing soaps are put in the washing machine. Use the vacuum cleaner to fight a spider. Yachai comes home and is shocked at the scene. He rushes to angrily ask what Fear did. But she is still stubborn and then goes back to her room as if she has never done anything. Yachai sighed, not knowing what to do. He says he will go out to buy some for dinner, and when he finishes cooking, he will call Fear. As he leaves, Konoha tells Yachai that he should tell Fear his true feelings. Yachai goes into the room to talk to Fear. He knows that Fear isn't human, and she needs time to get used to the human way of life. So Yachai apologizes to Fear for getting a little angry. Fear also stops being angry, and the two cook dinner together. Fear says today she saw human kindness but didn't know what to do. She asks, is it true that if she helps humans, the curse will be lifted? He says, of course, and gives the soup for Fear to taste. At this time, a mysterious woman is on her way to find Fear. The next morning, Yachai's father sent a package to Fear. Inside were the school uniform and school supplies. Yachai says Fear will have a proper name from now on, that is Fear Kubrick. He prepares a script for Fear to introduce herself to the class. She will be in the same class as Yachai and Konoha from now on. Fear doesn't wait any longer and puts on the uniform. Yachai says it was difficult for the headmaster to find the uniform that fit Fear, so she should thank him. Konoha comes, and the three go to the school to meet Headmaster Gabriel. He welcomes Fear to Teishu High School. Fear looks at his gas mask, making her feel uncomfortable. Gabriel says that since birth, he has been allergic to polluted air. If he took off this mask, he would have to spend the rest of his life in a hospital bed. It sounds like he's making up stories. He then asks Zenon to bring a mask to Konoha to see if it is cursed. But Konoha says it is just an old mask. It seems the headmaster is looking for some cursed thing. Fear enters the class and introduces herself. She is so cute, so she is loved by many classmates. Kirika wants Fear to be the judge today. Yachai explains that he and Kirika compete with each other every day to see who can cook better. Yachai's dish this time is a bit sketchy compared to Kirika's, but the result is still in favor of Yachai. Fear says that going to school today is really fun. Teachers and friends are all sociable. She feels this place is really peaceful, and the people here are also gentle and warm. She asks Yachai what the glittering thing in the distance is. Yachai says it's the sea, but it's different from what she saw on TV. So Yachai and Konoha take her to see the sea. Yachai inquires about Fear's past, but Fear hesitates to answer Yachai's question. Fear is about to tell him about her past, but the woman intervenes. She introduces herself as Peavy and tells Yachai that Fear has been hiding in an ancient castle for hundreds of years, thus remaining undetected. Peavy belongs to an organization of knights that has opposing views to Yachai's father. They don't accept the existence of cursed tools known as was. This means that Peavy is here to destroy Fear. She rushes to attack Fear, but she dodges. She continues to tell Fear's past, saying that Fear had killed many people and engulfed them in hatred, no matter who they were, even children. They were all brutally killed by Fear. Fear breaks down and doesn't want to listen anymore. Peavy says that even if she dodges, she can't escape the truth. Fear's excuses disgust her even more. Konoha rushes into a duel with Peavy because she sees her actions that offend the eye. Konoha is also a was like Fear, although not related. Looking at Fear, she recalls her old self. It's cool to say that, but still get kicked into the wall by Peavy. Yachai rushes to support her and is also annoyed by Peavy's words. Konoha transforms into her true form, a sword, for Yachai to fight Peavy. However, the sword is still in its scabbard because Konoha doesn't want to see the blood. Yachai uses a combo technique with Konoha to target the weakest point on the enemy's weapon to attack and destroy it completely. Yachai breaks Peavy's steel gloves with a slash. Her blood is flowing and painful, but her hatred for was is even greater. Konoha shivers, making Yachai think it is because she sees the woman's blood, but it isn't. It turned out that Yachai's arm was injured and was bleeding profusely. He screamed in pain, causing Fear to awaken to her true self. Fear uses the 26th mechanism, puncturing closed form, Iron Maiden, to attack Peavy. Next up is the 8th mechanism, crushing cyclic form, breaking by wheel at Franks. Peavy feels excited and attacks Fear directly. However, Fear has several hundred years of combat experience, and Peavy is no match for her. Fear uses the 3rd mechanism, slicing descending form, guillotine, to cut off one of Peavy's arms. Looking at Fear now is even scarier than the devil. Peavy is still determined to risk her life to fight, but her partner arrives and takes her away. It isn't over yet, even though the enemy has left, but Fear continues to attack Yachai and Konoha. Konoha drags Yachai into battle with Fear and blows the box away. Fear now kneels down and says this is her true self. Every word of Peavy is true. Fear has killed many people over the years. She is a weapon made to kill. That's why Fear was cursed. Yachai says he's immune to the curse, so it's okay, but Fear says she's just chasing vain hope. She has committed too many sins to be able to break the curse. No matter what Fear said, Yachai still reaches out his hand and wants to go home with her. Fear says Yachai is too good, then leaves. Yachai collapses from the wound. He wakes up and finds Konoha beside him. She bandages his wound but still advises him to go to the hospital to get checked. Konoha asks what Yachai is going to do with Fear. Fear has revealed her true self, and Peavy will definitely seek revenge on Fear. The option of running away was still a wise plan. Yachai knows Fear won't run away. She will end up in a much more horrible way, so Yachai begs Konoha to let him find her. Konoha also finds it reasonable, so she agrees, gives Yachai some advice, and leaves. At this moment, Fear is still wandering the streets. Kirika sees Fear entering an alley and curiously follows. Fear takes out the drill with the intention of killing Kirika, but Kirika's call brings her back to her senses. Fear just leaves without saying anything. Peavy is brought back by her partner to bandage the wound. The bandage on her body sucks Peavy's blood and bandages it. It is the Chupacabra bandage, a living thing. To heal a severe wound, it needs to suck up an amount of blood equal to the force that caused the wound, causing the person being treated to experience extreme pain. That is the curse of this item. Yachai runs around looking for Fear. Kirika calls Yachai and says she saw Fear just now, but she's behaving very strangely out of the ordinary. Yachai thanks Kirika for calling, and he wants her to pretend nothing happened. Now that Fear is on a hill near the sea, she decides to throw herself here to put an end to everything. For a moment, Fear thinks Yachai is going to come to find her, but she turns around and sees nothing but darkness. Fear tried to kill Yachai, so she thinks that Yachai won't go looking for her. She smiles sarcastically and throws herself into the sea. Yachai is running in a hurry to find Fear. He suddenly remembers something and turns his head towards the sea. When he gets there, he sees Fear's Rubik. He jumps down to save Fear. Fear wakes up to find Yachai carrying her home. She happily hugs Yachai and shares that she is afraid of hearing the screams of the people she cares about. When she heard Yachai's scream, she lost herself. She is afraid that if that happens again, she will kill Yachai. But Yachai doesn't care about that. He tells her to just stay at his house if she wants. Fear is happy and hugs Yachai tightly. Not only that, she wants to rub his back. Konoha accidentally comes and sees Fear wearing nothing. She decides to live with them from now on. The next day, Yachai and the others are eating together. He doesn't think Kirika will believe everything he says, but Kirika still believes because she thinks there are still many mysteries anyway. Fear apologizes that her other personality scared Kirika. At this point, Mummy comes and gives advice to Yachai's group. Their organization's goal is to destroy Fear. Thus, his first option is to destroy her himself. His second is to hand her over. His third and most lenient option is to neither protect Fear nor disrupt their attempts to capture her. In return for choosing one of those options, they will not hurt anyone or any was unrelated to her. She gives Yachai's group one day to think and leaves a contact card. On the way back, Kirika looks at the card, thinks about something, and then calls someone to say that she has something to discuss. That night, Yachai was sleeping when he felt the killing intent. There is a person standing in front of him trying to do something. Konoha and Fear run to protect Yachai. Before Konoha has time to act, Fear quickly takes out an axe to cut an enemy's arm, causing the enemy to immediately flee. Konoha looks at Fear's expression and feels worried. TV wakes up and sees a box in front of her with Mummy's card. Inside the box is a vase. The next morning, Konoha calls Fear to the courtyard. She has a very simple request. She wants Fear to die. It turns out that Konoha has always considered Fear as her enemy. Fear takes out the drill to fight. She rushes over, and Konoha blocks the drill with her bare hands. Konoha asks Fear what is on her mind right now. Fear says, of course, she wants to hear Konoha's screams. Konoha lies and says that Yachai is coming, causing Fear to lose focus and look around. Konoha pushes the drill into the ground, causing Fear to spin. Konoha says she is just joking. Last night, Fear looked like a lost child, hurt, and used all her strength to attack the mysterious person yesterday. If she didn't mean to do it and was just acting subconsciously, then that's another problem in itself. She is still haunted by her past self. There's no telling when she will repeat her cycle of indignity, torture, and murder. Konoha advises Fear not to arbitrarily activate the power to fight because it is too dangerous. Fear runs into the house and tells Yachai that she won't be able to fight and will become a burden to him. But Yachai never considers Fear a burden, no matter the circumstances. Suddenly, PV appears and attacks them with a gun. Konoha rushes to cut the bullets in half. PV throws the gun and pulls out her new weapon. It is an axe called Dance Time. Although she hates using was, there is no other way. Konoha transforms into a sword for Yachai. Before the battle, he doesn't forget to tell Fear to just stay put for now. PV reveals that Mummy died at her hands because she needed blood to sacrifice the axe. As soon as he finished speaking, PV dashes to Yachai. Although Yachai hits her, it doesn't hurt her. PV reveals that her axe will continue to fight even after she dies. Konoha tells Yachai to destroy the axe first. But this is not an easy task. The axe is moving on its own. Sword kill counter requires reading the user's Kai from her movements. Fear starts to worry and can't keep her composure. Konoha tells her to calm down and not to fight no matter what. PV doesn't understand why Yachai wants to protect those cursed weapons. Yachai says that it was humans who put the curse on them, so he will help them no matter what. Hearing that, PV becomes even angrier and attacks more furiously. Fear can't keep watching everyone fighting to protect her. She decides to do as she pleases and rushes to attack PV. She changes the shape of her weapon and rushes to kick PV into the house. Konoha and Yachai want her to leave this fight immediately, but Fear says that she is a selfish, so she will do what she wants. If she loses control, they simply kill her. Yachai uses Konoha to tap her head, but Yachai will also be selfish to believe that Fear won't lose herself. At this time, Kirika goes to find Yachai, but no one opens the door. Peavy knocks Kirika unconscious and intends to use her to threaten Yachai's group. She tells Yachai's group to show up or their friend will die. Fear immediately shows up, making Peavy angry because of her kind expression right now. She uses the axe to cut Kirika's body, making Fear almost lose her mind. Peavy continues to attack, making Fear's feelings even worse. But Fear is trying to remember her promise to Konoha and Yachai. Before she stepped out, she discussed the plan with them. The moment Peavy wasn't paying attention, they would rush out from Fear's tool to separate the axe from Peavy. However, she can still hold the axe with her teeth. Yachai pulls Konoha out of her scabbard to cut the axe into pieces. Yachai then rushes to Kirika's place to check on her condition. Peavy still has a gun and intends to shoot Yachai. Her arm is suddenly held tightly by a weapon from Kirika. Fear takes this opportunity to attack Peavy and Kirika knocks her unconscious. Kirika takes off her outer clothes and reveals a strange bikini. She takes the axe and gets something called indulgence discs. She doesn't know much about it, but she guesses it has something to do with Fear, so she gives it to her. She says she will deal with Peavy and leave. The next day, Kirika acts normally as if nothing happened. Yachai wants to talk to her, but she tells him to wait until after school. After school, Kirika talks to Yachai's group. She says that the bikini she is wearing is a cursed tool. It's a waz called Geimsterantes Love. A crazy sadist cursed his slave's physical frailty, and the slave cursed her fate of torture. Thus, this was born. It causes its wearer to never die from external injuries. Though it heals any damage she takes, she will die if she takes it off. And this is Kirikawa Karen, a former serial killer's beloved item. She now uses it to protect herself. She says that she is not their enemy and doesn't intend to interfere in their work. However, circumstances changed after she ran into Fear the other evening. She protects Yachai's group because she thinks it's the class president's responsibility. She belongs to an organization different from the Knights of Gathering. It's a research organization. Their only aim is to learn more about waz and curses. Kirika is the one in charge of overseeing Konoha and Yachai. That night, Fear calls Yachai into her room to do her a favor, but their noises are misleading. Actually, Yachai was helping Fear push indulgence discs into her body in box form. Konoha says that in any form, Fear still has a body with senses and calls Yachai a pervert. Fear happily informs them that her curse has weakened a bit, so she will no longer be able to use Iron Maiden form anymore. It must be because they inserted that indulgence disc thing. If they put in more of those discs, Fear probably won't be able to turn into other forms and hurt anyone else anymore. The next morning, Gabriel calls Yachai's group to his room. He calls Zenon to bring a box. Inside is a cursed doll found in the next town in an antique shop owned by his acquaintance. The shop owner gave the doll to Gabriel because it made his daughter depressed. After giving it to Gabriel, the shop owner died of an illness. Gabriel let the shop owner's daughter attend this school. But before handing the doll over to Yachai's group, Gabriel wants to take a closer look at it again. But when Zenon opens the box, there is nothing inside. Gabriel thinks someone stole it and asks Yachai's group to find it. While Yachai and Konoha are depressed, Fear is excited because she wants to quickly neutralize her curse by helping others. At this time, Zenon receives a call from the medical room informing them that 5 students have fainted. All of them were discovered in empty spots and looked like they had lost all their vitality. Hearing that, Fear hurriedly runs outside. Konoha and Yachai chase her and wonder where she is running to. Actually, Fear doesn't know where she is going. She is just acting like she knows everything. Fear looks through the window of the building over there and sees someone moving. Everyone runs there and enters a room. In front of them is a doll in human form. A girl named Shiraho shows up and seems to know the doll. The doll named Sovereignty says she won't come back to that box again. She hates humans and won't let them get away. She is the almighty doll, created solely to play the role of a queen. Thus, all human forms are under her rule. She controls the dolls in the room to attack them. Fear uses the 11th mechanism, ripping saw form, the teeth to cut the dolls. Konoha asks her why she sucked the students' vitality. She says she prefers draining the students' vitality rather than causing a ruckus in the city. After saying that, she leaves the dolls to fight them and run away. After everyone destroys all the dolls in the room, Shiraho asks what Yachai's group will do if they catch Sovereignty. Yachai says he will leave her at his house to neutralize her curse. Fear says that maybe Sovereignty doesn't know that curses could be neutralized. Sovereignty probably thought she would be killed or imprisoned forever in the box. Yachai's group promises to help Shiraho find Sovereignty. During class, Yachai suddenly receives a message that someone wants to meet him at the fountain. He arrives at the meeting place and sees Sovereignty. Sovereignty states that she drained the student's vitality, but she wants Yachai to ignore this. Yachai says that the curse can be neutralized. That's why Shiraho's father didn't destroy Sovereignty. He invites her to stay at his house to break the curse. However, Sovereignty doesn't believe Yachai's words and leaves.
Don't forget to subscribe to VR Caps, hit that notification bell, and let's dive into the extraordinary world of C3 Cube Cursed Curious together.